Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that shaped how they see life, helping us all find a little more clarity in our daily journey. Today's guest is Tiffany Carson, an author and mental health advocate from Alberta, who has walked through some of life's heaviest storms, loss, and profound change, and emerged with a fierce belief in the power of vulnerable storytelling. She's dedicated her life to showing others that we can find beauty even in our most difficult chapters. Let's step into Tiffany's world and hear the words that have guided her through it all. Okay, tell us your name and what you do.
My name is Tiff Carson, and I am an author, podcaster, speaker, breathwork and somatic coach, and I'm also a CPA bean counter accountant by day.
Wow, that's
Busy.
fantastic.
And I'm a mom, too, of 3 kids.
Wow. Oh, thank you for finding out the time to talk to me on this
Yes.
podcast. It means a lot to me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. What is your favorite quote, Tiffany?
Well, one of my very favorite quotes is, "A heart once reduced to ashes can rise again, full, beautiful, and healed, stronger for the fire it endured."
What does that mean?
It means that even when you've been through the depths of some of the most painful things that somebody can experience, that it can still, your heart can still beat, and your heart can still love, and your heart can still find joy and live a beautiful life.
When you during the pre-interview, you not the pre-interview form, you mentioned that this quote is a lived truth. Yeah, that's the exact word you used. Can you share with me the story that makes this quote a lived truth for you?
I have many, but the last 20 years of my journey have been extremely challenging, with many ups and downs, a very rocky roller coaster. It started with a 10-year infertility battle with my ex-husband now. It took 10 years to get our 3 kids, 5 years to get our daughter, and then another 5 years to get our twin boys. And it was a very, very painful process. It was very excruciating mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, every way it was painful. And we are beyond blessed and grateful for our kids because we know how hard it was to get them here. When they were all about 5 years old, they were all diagnosed with ADHD and ODD, which is oppositional defiance disorder. And it was a very difficult parenting journey with the 3 kids. And there were many times where I struggled mentally being their mom. I didn't know how to handle the everyday, I call it chaos, of parenting 3 kids that were quite challenging. We had a live-in nanny for 2.5 years when the boys, my twins, were babies, and then she moved on to another family. So we were sort of isolated from the behavior challenges that were starting to come up because we went to work every day. We got home and they were in their pajamas, they had their baths, they were fed, and we got to have all the cute snuggle time, right? And then when she moved on to another family, that's when it was like, holy crap, what is going on? We started putting them in day homes and daycares, and my ex-husband and I, we are both in upper management in the companies that we work for. And daily, every day almost, we were getting called to come in and get our kids and pick them up. We can't have them here right now. They did this, one of them did that. And it was just every single day it was chaos. And it really took a toll on both of us. My mental health went like really downhill, really, really quickly, to the point where I found myself hiding behind the clothes in my closet hiding from my kids and not wanting to be their mom anymore and trying to find a way out of my life. And I was behind those clothes having a real tough conversation with God. And I was angry. I was quite angry, to be honest, that it took 10 years to get our kids. And then we were given this really difficult parenting journey. We didn't even get to enjoy the kids that it took so long to get. And behind those clothes, I saw a fork in the road. I saw the image of a fork in the road. And it was either check out from your life and leave, or you need to go and get help now. It's time to get help. And I came out of there. I phoned my mom and I said, can you please come and help us take care of the kids? For one, I know I need to go and see a therapist. I need to get some help. And that's what I did. I went and I started seeing a therapist. I went to one and I didn't click with them. There was 2 of them actually. And then by the 3rd one, I found her, and I called her my Jenna, because she was my person. She was the one that I could really open up to. And she's the one who, after about the 5th appointment, she looked at me and she said, you're supposed to do something with this pain that you've experienced, this really hard stuff that you've been going through, and you're supposed to help other people with it. And I actually thought she was crazy. Like, no word of a lie. I thought she was crazy when she said that to me, because I couldn't even take care of myself. I needed my mom here to help me. And she wanted me to help other people with my stuff. I'm like, no, I need to find a new therapist. She's crazy. But driving home that day from the appointment, I was listening to a podcast, and I got the thought in my head that I needed to start a podcast.
Wow.
Where that came from, I have no idea, because no word of a lie, used to be an extreme introvert. Like, you couldn't get a single word out of me. Like, not one, because I just didn't like talking. And so anyway, long story short, over the next few months, I ordered a microphone off Amazon at 3 a.m. and, left it in my office in a box for another 3 months or so. And then I talked to my husband at the time and I said, I keep getting this feeling like I'm supposed to share our story. Like, I'm supposed to talk about our infertility journey and our parenting struggles and all of it. I'm supposed to share it. And I don't know why I keep feeling like this. And I said, would you be open to that, to me sharing our stuff? And he was all for it. And I wrote out the notes that I was going to do for the first 4 or 5 episodes. And I thought, okay, once that's done, if nobody listens, then cool. I'll just stop doing it. I'll sell the microphone. I'll do whatever, right? And that is not what happened. People were blown away by the vulnerability and the sharing what we were actually going through and being real about it. And I'm now on season 8. 130 some episodes, and now I talk with people all over the world like you are and talking with them about their hard, beautiful journey. So that's the title of my podcast, is Hard, Beautiful Journey. And that title resonates with so many people that they are living that truth. They are living hard, beautiful journeys. And so, yeah, that's just the beginning of why that quote is so meaningful to me. There's a lot more. My brother passed away in 2021 of a fentanyl overdose.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And thank you. And that's I wrote a book, Dancing in the Rain. It's about our relationship as siblings and addictions and all of that. And then not long after that, my husband and I separated and eventually got a divorce. So there's been a lot there's been a lot of hard stuff, but every day I wake up and I know how to heal my heart every day now. Every time something comes up for me now, I know how to work through it and I know how to make my day better.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join. Or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, I like the, the what's the pattern I could use now? The trajectory. It's just of how you said a heart once reduced to ashes. There was a time where it was down, 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 down there, and then more like a roller coaster, and then there was this peak, and now it went down again, and then down again, and
Mm-hmm. That's exactly, that's how I describe my last 20 years for sure, is my crazy roller coaster that there's so many times where I was like begging somebody to get me off this thing because I'm good. Like I've ridden it. I'm good. I've done all the curves. I've done all the drops. I've done all the highs, all the lows. I'm good now. Can we get on a nice level ride and just have some peace? And I still have I still have days where I'm on my roller coaster, but I find it's a lot gentler now. It's not as aggressive.
Yeah. Oh, a heart once reduced to ashes can rise again, full, beautiful, and healed, stronger for the fire it endured. I feel like this is it's not even a question of I feel like this is a quote of hope, of reassurance, of and thank you for sharing your story so my listeners can know that yeah, I did go through this, and at the point in time I felt like this was the end, right? That feeling that how you feel something so much that you feel like yeah, this is actually the end. And but looking back, you're like, oh yeah, now things are better. And I never imagined that I will be
Mm-hmm.
life can be so much better. Wow, thank you so
Yep,
much.
it really can.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I just want you to do something. I want you to, for someone listening right now that might be going through a tough time, they're in the down of their roller coaster. They've been so much down for so long that they don't even know if the roller coaster has ups. It's just going down. It's going down. And even when they think that, okay, it cannot be worse than this, and it's like, whoo, and like, when are we going to go up? And can you just talk directly to them and, talk to them?
Yes. I would say, first of all, put a hand on your heart, which is what I do every time I'm having one of my really hard moments. And I remember that my heart is still beating, that I'm still here. And I remind myself to breathe, because a lot of when we're in those dark, dark moments, a lot of us honestly forget to breathe. And it's gone. It's like, when's the last time that you actually took a deep, deep breath? I know there's many people that hold their breath and they're just waiting for somebody to come and save them when you're actually the one who can save yourself. And it starts by taking a breath and remembering that you're still here and that your heart's still beating. And the other thing that I did every day when I was in my darkest, darkest moments was, even when it felt impossible and that there was nothing that I could find or write about, I always found something to be grateful for. And those two things, reminding myself to breathe and really taking the time to find one thing in my day that I could be grateful for, was just that little spark every day, that little spark that there is still good going on in this world. There is still something that is okay and worth living for.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Tiff, for that word of encouragement.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I hope it helps somebody.
it will. You mentioned, you started the podcast because you got the idea of listening to a podcast, and here you are sharing your story with your listeners, and yeah, I know they've gotten great value from the stories, and yeah, you mentioned your podcast is Hard Beautiful Journey, and um, I know most of my listeners want to uh, learn more about you and follow on the story. Like because I feel like what you did with the story is more like a snapshot. It's like yeah, and it's more like in the moment. Okay, this is how I felt when the first 10 years of fertility while you were dealing with the fertility issues. How, that they I know you shared all those on your podcast, and so where can they get to listen and get the full gist of the story and not just the snapshots you shared on the episode?
Well, the first 4 episodes of my podcast, Hard Beautiful Journey, I go into I give the whole story of the entire fertility journey and the behavior stuff and the parenting struggles, you name it. The first 6 actually episodes, because one of the episodes I had James, my husband at the time, he also was on the podcast and he shared his side of the story from the man's perspective through an infertility journey and parenting struggles and all of that, which I think was very important to have his perspective, not just mine, in our story when we were telling it. And a lot of men found that beneficial as well. So that is, you can find all of that on my website, tiffcarson.com. And that's where you can find my book, Dancing in the Rain, what it's about. And that's where you can find my blog and the other stuff that I'm working on right now, like retreats and breath work and somatic work. I have found breath work and somatic work to be extremely beneficial in my journey. And that's why one of the first things that I encourage people to do is to remember how to breathe.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being an amazing guest on the podcast and for sharing your story. It's been a delight chatting.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.